the 30th of October, the people of Botswana took to the polling booths and polling stations to vote. The next day, as the counting was underway, when the picture of the outcome of the election began to emerge in faint charcoal outline, the incumbent president of the Republic of Botswana gave me a call. He said to me, "It is becoming clear that your party is winning. It is still early days yet, but I'd like to congratulate you in advance." That was long before the outcome was clear. The next day, still a long way from the end, the incumbent president called me again and said to me, "The picture has now emerged. I will proceed. I want you to know." And that was a day before the final outcome of the election would become evident. And on the morning of the next day, still before the outcome was declared, he addressed a press conference and conceded. In the afternoon, the outcome was declared. I'm raising these things not for self-adulation or to seek approbation, although the approbation would be well deserved. I'm raising these issues in order to demonstrate that democracy does exist on the African continent and we can be exemplars of it. And I want this to be routinized and collectivized into a character, a democratic character of the African continent. Hello, Africa. Hello, my Africa. And at this point, I would like to allow these lines of a poem that keep assailing me. These are the words of a poem written by an African, born of a Senegalese father and a Cameroonian mother. The poem says, "Africa, my Africa. Africa of proud warriors in ancestral savannas. Africa of whom my grandmother sings on the banks of the distant river. I've never known you, but your blood flows in my veins. Your beautiful black blood that irrigates the fields. The blood of your sweat, the sweat of your work, the work of your slavery, the slavery of your children. Africa, tell me, Africa, is this your back that is bent? This back breaking under the weight of humiliation? This back trembling with red scars and saying yes to a whip under the midday sun? But a great voice answers me, impetuous child, that tree young and strong, that tree over there, that is your Africa. Splendidly alone among fading flowers, growing, patient, obstinately, whose fruits, bit by bit, acquire the bitter taste of liberty. That is our Africa. Hello, Africa. My Africa. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. That is the Africa we must build. For these generations and generations yet to come, we must become bearers of the flame of liberty. Thank you, Africa.
We have seen how our complacency over the years, and I want to call it that, has placed us in situations of vulnerability, even fatal vulnerability, where we are now at the mercy of external powers on account of our over-reliance on aid coming from the developed world. We need to move away from this And as we do, we need also to ensure that in the future, any change that must be effected is not dependent on or driven by or triggered by crisis. Because these crises, as we learn, sound in human lives and livelihoods. We need to mobilize, as President Kagame urges upon us, domestic finance for our health care. We need, in the process of so doing, to avoid falling into the trap wherein governments pride themselves in the universal provision of standardized, low-quality goods and services. We need to provide quality health care for our people. And we need to make the point to the private sector as well that they need workers, they need skills. And these skills must be provided by healthy, vibrant workers whose health and vitality must become as much their concern as the private sector as it is the concern of the governments. And so it seems to me that the partnership is inescapable. It presents itself, it obtrudes, it pushes itself forward. Because if the private sector doesn't take its rightful place next to government, they run the risk at some point of not having the kind of workforce that they need to power their industries and to drive their profit valorization. And so it seems to me that the case is makes itself eminently for this partnership between governments and the private sector. We also need to appreciate, and I've seen it in Botswana, young professionals in the institutions of learning engaging in vigorous subjacent experimentation. One told me, went around in the most far-flung areas of the country and interviewed old people and asked them, you don't have a clinic in your area, but children have been born here. You've raised healthy families in this area. How did you do it? And he was referred to local medicine, men who were using local plants and herbs. And he says he's now taken some of these and he's testing them, and he has established that some of them carry some serious potency in relation to some of these critical conditions.